Welcome back to Afternoon Live. While writing her memoir during a visit to her hometown of Boston, our next guest discovered a shocking truth about her family's history and their connection to the mob. We welcome to Afternoon Live the author of Wonderland, A Tale of Hustling Hard and Breaking Even, Nicole Treska. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to talk to you about this. You have such a fascinating life story. Let's start with the title. Tell us about Wonderland and why you decided to name the book that.
Sure. So the memoir is about, growing up. Well, it's about my life, but also very much growing up outside of Boston in the little towns around the city. And Wonderland is the name of an amusement park that had been just outside of Revere Beach, and it is now the name of the train stop, the dance hall, the bus depot. And I found myself wondering, like, what is with this name? Why is this name everywhere? What was Wonderland? So I looked it up, and it is a 100-plus-year-old amusement park that had been open for 5 or 6 years and then closed. But it's sort of hold on that part of Boston was really fascinating to me, even though it had only existed for this short time. It seems like Bostonians really like hold on to that idea of Wonderland, and I liked that.
Yeah, it kind of represents something, and you use it as a metaphor, weaving it throughout your own life story. And as you discover a lot more about your family's life in adulthood, we start in what, 2015? You meet up with your dad and start to kind of uncover these a little bit more information about your parents' history than you had previously known.
Yeah, it was my auntie Loretta had passed away. She was schizophrenic and had psychosis, and would have a lot of breaks, and lived in a mental institution for most of her the end of her life, the last 20 years. So I went home after. Oh yeah, there's my auntie, and that's my
Oh,
sister.
it's a great photo.
Yeah, that's in a Dunkin' Donuts. The book ends in a Dunkin' Donuts, and I think that is very, very relevant to being a Bostonian. Um, and so, oh wait, what was the question? I just lost track because of my auntie.
We pick up in 2015 when you first
Oh
kind
yeah,
of
so I
begin the
was home
conversation with
yeah,
your
thank you.
dad. Yeah.
I was home for her funeral, and we started talking more. But I did find out a lot of the things about his mob relationships in my 20s. It was just sort of in the last 10 years, putting those together into the big picture of the things I'd been told with what I was discovering as I became an adult and asked more questions, and people started actually mostly telling me the truth,
Right.
mostly.
You'd had breadcrumbs along the way, but not a lot of folks, I think, go to the Boston Globe archives to learn about their family history. That's a very unique story that you have.
Yeah, I did so much research, and in ways like about things that were still unclear to me, even as my father was telling me what the truth is. He was as a very big advocate of what he calls white lies, which I think over a lifetime just amount to a lot of lies. So the Globe, oh, but I do love him. He is a charming man.
Mm.
The Globe ended up revealing an awful lot of what, he might have said that was halfway true. Like he told me he went to prison for dealing drugs, but then the Globe would tell me it was federal drug trafficking, and those feel like very different, even just by like degree,
Mm-hmm.
like different things. He told me my papa never did anything illegal, that he was such an upright man. And then I found him in the Boston Globe, and he had been on trial for racketeering in 1967. And racketeering is mob stuff, at least in Boston, it certainly is. So I think even though I thought I knew the story, in the process of researching the book, I realized I'm never going to know the whole story.
Right, right. It would be kind of impossible to find out every single detail. And you kind of realize, too, that whatever the truth is, your family, your relations, sort of proximity to some of these mob ties, it actually kind of protected a lot of folks in your family.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was, I think the way that it works protection wise is if you are engaged with them. Like my father was a bookie, so he was working very directly with the mob, even at a very low level. Like, he would get information about bars he shouldn't go to on certain days, or people he should stay away from because they were going to like get what was coming to them. And my parents know about so many, crimes and murders that were committed. And like the deal for safety is like you keep your mouth shut. And I think that's sort of part of the book, right? Like everybody around me was keeping their mouth shut for my safety and their own safety. But as a kid, I was like, something's wrong. Like this isn't correct, or I'm missing, like you said, breadcrumbs, right? I'd pick up these little breadcrumbs and be like, why did they call jail camp?
Right.
Camp, camp is fun. I know that this is something bad because of the way they're talking to me about it. So why is camp bad in this way? So it's like actually by trying to kind of protect me from some things, they actually put in my mind that like something was up, you know?
Yeah, and you end up having to move around quite a bit as a kid too, right? That must have been hard to adjust socially constantly.
Always, yeah. I mean, I think I also talk a lot about mythology in the book, and I think as kids we were very in a part of the mythology that my parents told us, which is that this is not that bad, and this is just what people do, and you get up and you go and you resettle, and that's just great because our lives are better than they were. And that photo we just saw was in Brunswick, Maine, when I was in elementary school with my sister and my dad. And then we moved to Florida, and then we moved to Denver and Tennessee and Hawaii, and then it's just been a life of movement that has made me very good at making friends and being social, very aware of what is cool in any given place. I need that because I know that that is what will make me socially safe, right? I think like as a child, that was something that I learned really quickly. But I would have probably preferred to not
Right.
have like
It's
six.
it's a pretty tough thing to overcome. Well, and you can really say, I mean, we heard you just say how you love your dad. I think a lot of people can relate to a somewhat complicated relationship to their parents or the folks who raised them, that you know that everything's not on the up and up, but that love is still real and you still want to support that person regardless.
Yeah, and I think as you get older, you realize nobody's parents are perfect, and there are obviously degrees, and mine are on my dad's imperfections definitely weighed on a heavier side sometimes, but his love for us was constant and serious, and he didn't always have money, but he would always catch a flight to wherever we lived and like spend time with us. And I think as I see other people's parents and all of the different ways you can parent, I think one of the most important things is that you really give your kids a lot of love. And he was so loving. So I think that, that lends to a lot of forgiveness. I think that speaks a lot to his character and shows a little bit how people who break the laws or are in a criminal element are not bad people, innately bad people, right?
Right. Yeah, it's a super, I mean, your whole story is so fascinating. I'm so glad that you wrote this book and shared your life story with us. And thank you for spending some time with us today.
Thank you. I can't wait to be at Powell's later. It's going to be amazing. I love Kim
Oh,
Parsons.
good. We're so glad. Okay, want to let everybody know that Nicole has a book event tonight at 7 p.m. at Powell City of Books on West Burnside. We'll have all the details posted for you on our website. The book again is Wonderland, and we'll have all the information on our website at katu.com. We'll be right back with more Afternoon Live right after this.